start with Gus. We're going to start with Gus's case. And we're going to get this particular video we're going to watch, which is from Daily Mail Australia. This is from 9 days ago, so this is not the most up-to-date information, but we're going to watch it. We've not watched it before. I think it's a very interesting, it's always good to hear other people's take on something. I haven't heard this reporter speaking before about this case, or any case, to be honest. So, yeah, let's see what this lady has got to say. Poor little Gus, where is he? Now, I think just looking at this, look at this place. You know, how remote it is. You know, maybe like somebody left a comment saying it's not remote compared to the standards of that area. Well, maybe it isn't, but it's still remote. You know, it's like, it's remote to any standards, isn't it? There's not many people live in a place like that where it's, you know, a little boy. I mean, how far could he run? Really? I think that's what the police would have been thinking in the first instance. He's only a little boy. He can't have gone too far. No, toddlers can run fast and they can move quickly. But wouldn't he trip up? Or this is what worries me. They may have tripped up and fallen down a gully or something. But yeah, because there's not many trees. You know, you can see from that scrubland. It's not really the sort of place where a body might lie. I know he's only little at the end of the day, but it's not really, you know, you think it would be noticed, especially the amount of searching that's gone on, because it's open, isn't it? But did he fall down something like a mine shaft, a gully? You know, no idea. But the thing is, he's not been found. And I'm presuming that the property has been searched. It's got to have been searched, surely. Because it's a big property. There's a lot, you know, if the, you know, the worst had happened and there'd been some foul play by the family. And I'm not saying there wasn't. I feel for this family because obviously there's a lot of aspersions being cast against them. But, you know, that's, if you were that family, you would want that all out of the way, wouldn't you? Like, to me, if my little boy had gone missing, I'd be saying to the police, just come and search this property. Search it, bring your dogs in, get it over with, and then get out there and find my son. You know, you would appreciate that the police are looking for your son. So they've got to search your property. Of course they have, because just because you say you haven't done anything to him doesn't mean say you haven't. You know, unfortunately, families do bad things to children. And while we might not be able to get our head around it, it does happen. So if that was your child, your grandchild, and you were innocent, you would want the police to do whatever. And the thing is, even if you were innocent, like, for example, if your child was disappeared and you know you haven't done it, but you don't know for a fact that another member of your family hasn't done it. That's happened too. Look at Tia Sharp. You know, there was the grandma. Her grandma wouldn't have harmed a hair on Tia's head, but she didn't realise that the partner she was with, he had harmed a hair, and you know, he had harmed Tia, murdered her, and hidden her in the attic of their property. So, you know, even if you were innocent, you would want the police to search your property, because you would want to make sure. You could not be 100% that even if you hadn't done it, that another member of your family hadn't done something. Sorry, but you can't ever be 100%. You know, how many times do we think, oh no, he couldn't possibly have done that, or she couldn't possibly have done that. But people do things, and you know, things happen, people do things. And you can never, ever really underestimate anyone, I believe. Anyway, let's have a look at this video.
I'm here where they're searching for little Gus Lamont yet again. Many people are asking the same question. Why have they resumed the search now? Either way, the push to find Gus is back on, and slowly but surely, the details of Gus's family are being pulled into
So look at this. Now, how far can that boy have gone, really? You know, can you imagine a little boy? So he's going to start running and just think it'd be fun to run off into the wilderness. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that he's run off. Someone's taken him, or he's still in that area somewhere, or somebody's taken him off somewhere. There's no way, in my opinion. I'm just going, but I mean, you know, you can never know. But just by my instinct, just what logic would tell me, that little boy was playing in a sandpit, and unless someone lured him away or took him away, he's not gone out of that area voluntarily.
To the spotlight. It's understood that Josh only found out that his son was missing after police woke him up at his Belaley North farmhouse hours after Gus had gone missing. Did police get new information?
So although apparently Gus's biological mother and father are not separated, that he does not live on that property.
Or did senior commanders call off the search too soon? I'm Carly Smith, senior reporter for Daily Mail, and I'm here where they're searching for little Gus Lamont yet again. The search was called off more than a week ago after Gus vanished from the front yard of his grandparents, Josie and Shannon Murray, where he was playing in the sandpit around 5 p.m. on September 27. But now, as of Tuesday, the search is back on. Behind me, around 80 Army personnel and several police officers have resumed the search on this sheep station called Oak Park.
Yeah, so they brought the Army in for the second search, which has now finished without finding anything again. But they literally brought the Army in to do it. They used everything they could. They used special drones and nothing. No, that boy's not there, I don't think. Or if he's there, he's hidden very well.
They're combing very difficult terrain out here. As you can see, there's some salt bush and some scrub, but out there it is largely featureless. There are a few hills and a bit of scrubland, but there's not much else. Oak Park Station is around 320 kilometres from Adelaide in South Australia's mid-north. The search radius for little Gus has now almost doubled. When it began, it was around 2 kilometres from the homestead. Now it's about 5 kilometres.
Yeah, so probably logic told the police that he's going to be within 2 kilometres somewhere. I mean, when he first disappeared, there would have been still hope, wouldn't they? He could have fallen, he could be lying somewhere, but injured but alive. You know, it was when it's about a week, after about a week, a little boy like that cannot sustain himself. If he'd had an accident or whatever, even if he was alive to begin with, he could not remain alive just because he wouldn't have had any water or food or anything like that. And he's not got a little boy of 4 has not got the wherewithal to find his own food and water. So that's when it became a recovery mission. And the initial search was stopped. I mean, the police have said they're making other inquiries. They're not only doing the searching, they are looking at other inquiries as well. There's always the possibility his father went and got him, isn't there? Or, that somebody else went and got him. Somebody, there is a road near there, but it seems to me that there's no way that I don't think anybody's taken him. I don't think it's possible. And the other thing is, if any vehicle would have rocked up to that house, the GMAR would have heard. So apparently he was there with one of his GMARs and his sibling, while his mum and the other GMAR were out at the sheep station. This is apparently what happened, but I don't think we've had a proper timeline from the police yet anyway.
Oak Park Station is around 45 kilometres from the Barrier Highway, which is the nearest major road. The track is rough and it has so far damaged several vehicles coming out to either cover the story or attend the search. Just yesterday, we were told that a couple of Army personnel trucks managed to actually get separated from the rest of their convoy because the sand that is kicked up by all these vehicles is so thick that they actually lost touch with each other for a little while. Many people are asking the same question. Why have they resumed the search now?
So even that when the army have gone out there, 2 army vehicles, got lost because of the dust. This little boy, surely, he has not managed to run off that far.
Police get new information, or did senior commanders call off the search too soon? Either way, the push to find Gus is back on, and slowly but surely, the details of Gus's family are being pulled into the spotlight. Gus's devastated family remain stoic and are cooperating with the police investigation.
You can imagine just how they're feeling, without having Gus and without having answers as to exactly where Gus is and what's happening to him. This would be traumatic for any family.
It's understood that Shannon and Josie inherited Oak Park Station from Shannon's side of the family. Her father, Vincent, was a World War II hero who was a prisoner of war on the Thai-Burma Railway, and her mother was Claire. Grandparent Josie also happens to be transgender. Josie, who was formerly known as Robert, appeared to begin her gender transition after the death of Vincent Pfeiffer, Shannon's father. The town has been accepting of her choice, according to a Yunta source who I spoke to recently. It is unclear if Josie and Shannon's marriage is still intact after her transition, but they do still live together here at the homestead. The family is incredibly private and actually took them 6 whole days to release a photo of little Gus after he went missing, which they were criticised for on social media. Gus's mother Jessica, whose own long blonde curly hair is very similar to that of her son's.
Yeah, so they got a lot of stick because it took them quite a few days to release a picture of Gus. Now, I think you can say this family is very, very private. Just the fact that they live there, they obviously like to keep themselves to themselves. No family would like to be thrust into the media spotlight, would they, really? And especially in these circumstances. But having said that, if you're searching for your little boy who's disappeared, you would want media attention, wouldn't you? Because, they don't know what happened to this little boy, do they? So somebody could have taken him or somebody could know something. I just think it's all so mysterious, and that's why it's so similar with Jack and Lily's case. The mystery of it, why do they live separately if they're still together, this couple? And, as I say, Gus's GMA that was looking after him that day is the lady that's transitioned many years ago, but is still living with her wife, if you like, from when she was a male. What's that arrangement? Is it still a marriage, or is it just convenient? At the end of the day, if you like living somewhere and you get on well, why shouldn't they live together as sort of friends or almost sisters? Really, rather than a husband and wife relationship. If they're both happy with it, that's fine, isn't it? But it's a complex relationship. You see what I'm saying, don't you? The whole thing is complex. But apparently, Gus's biological father, there's some animosity there because he doesn't live there. He's reportedly said, and again, all these alleged things that he said that it was a dangerous place for the children to be. Well, he's been proven right, really, isn't it? Because it was dangerous because that little boy's disappeared without a trace, so something's happened to him.
Also lives here on the homestead together with her 1-year-old son Ronnie. Gus's father, Joshua Lamont, lives separately to the family and does not live here on the station. Instead, he lives in Balaley North near Jamestown, which is around a 2-hour drive away. Joshua is said to have a commuter relationship with his partner Jess. We understand that he travels between his home in Balaley North and the homestead here, but the word among sources in the region that are close with Joshua say that he doesn't quite get on with his parent-in-law, Josie. It's understood that Josh only found out that his son was missing after police woke him up at his Balaley North farmhouse hours after Gus had gone missing. I spoke to Gus's grandparent, Josie, last week, who said, "We're still looking for him. You can't help. We are still dealing with this."
That's a strange thing to say. Sorry, but it is. We're still looking for him. You can't help. We are still dealing with this. Now, I would imagine it's really annoying to have the media sniffing around and what have you. You know, as I say, they're obviously private people, but surely they want this boy to be found. So you can't help. The media can help, because it does bring attention to, you know, it can bring unwelcome attention. I'm not denying that. Anybody, any true crime case we've followed, but sometimes it is the media or even social media that help solve things. Not solve them, but, you know, there might be a sighting somewhere, or, you know, like in the Gabby Petito case, it's not all bad, you know. So you sort of, and then of course it looks, I mean, she probably doesn't care what it looks like, but, you know, when somebody, you know, we are still dealing with this. We're dealing with what? You know, where is this boy? Surely, you know, anyway, you don't know how you would react unless you're in that situation. I hope I'm never in that situation. I'm sure we all hope we're never in that situation. But the thing is, this family is, and the boy is gone. And there's no, you know, it's urgent that he's found. I mean, you cannot imagine he's going to be found alive now, unless somebody has kidnapped him. Where is he? Where is he? You know,
Still looking for him. You can't help. We are still dealing with this. Around 5:30 p.m. on September 27, Gus's grandmother came outside to find him missing from the sandpit that he'd been playing with out the front of the homestead. With the sun starting to sink, concern quickly turned to panic. For the next 3 hours, the family frantically searched around the homestead and the property. They were shouting Gus's name into the twilight, but soon enough they realised they needed to call the police. A major search ensued, involving police, helicopters, drones, and even police diving squads who searched the local dams. For a week, investigators scoured the massive Oak Park station, which is around 150,000 acres of sheep farming land.
wow.
Every morning, convoys of trucks negotiated the 43-kilometre drive, bringing visitors from the outskirts of the windswept local town, Yunta, which boasts 2 petrol stations, a pub, a post office and a police station. It has an official population of around 60. They would then scour the rocky landscape, salt bushes and creek beds that all combine to make it all too easy for a small child like Gus to disappear. A footprint found after 3 days is the nearest police have come to finding out what happened to Gus, and even that footprint may have been discounted by police.
Yeah, and the footprint, to me, just seems suspicious, because one footprint, you know, and something that did occur to me is, of course, this case happened after the Jack and Lily case, which is another international case, and a boot print was found. And then, oh, lo and behold, we've got a similar case of a missing child. Oh, and a boot print's been found. I just don't believe that that child would only leave one boot print. I don't believe it. How has he only left one boot print out in the middle of nowhere like that? Where's the other boot prints? You know, it doesn't feel right, does it?
Since then, police said it showed a very similar boot pattern to the pair he'd been wearing, along with a blue long-sleeved Minions t-shirt and a grey sun hat. Yet an Aboriginal tracker concluded that it could have been there for a week before the night Gus went missing. In the absence of any further footprints, the trail went dead. No further leads have emerged, and police have admitted that this is more of a recovery operation than a rescue operation. The focus has been on locating remains, and now the search is back on. For now, we don't know if the little boy in the blue Minions t-shirt will ever be found. In a sick twist, psychics are exploiting the disappearance of a 4-year-old boy by posting videos on social media.
You know, these psychics and these people that this is wrong, completely wrong. They always, no, I can see he's near water, or, you know, or whatever. Come on. Anyway, it feels wrong to me to be saying things like this. And of course, then there's that other person some idiot who made an AI photo up of someone looking like Gus being bundled into a car. I mean, these are like ridiculous, horrible people. These people should be banned off social media, I think, because they do make the pain worse for families. I mean, it's one thing to consider all possibilities and to talk about what may have happened or the facts of the, what's been found, not been found, the facts of the case. It's quite another to just make things up, isn't it, really? Awful.
Claiming to use their gifts to find the missing child. Meanwhile, a false claim featuring an AI-generated image.
Do you imagine somebody actually sitting down and making this AI image of him being bundled into a car? Could you imagine? Why would somebody do that? Honestly, I still can't get my head around that anyone would even, that this would even occur to somebody to do. They've got some bad karma coming to them, I'll tell you, and they'll deserve every bit of it.
Which was shared more than 24,000 times on social media, alleged eyewitnesses had seen a boy matching Gus's description with a man. So where is little Gus? While dingoes, a wild dog here in Australia, have been blamed in the past for disappearances of small children, that is extremely unlikely in this case. There are precious few in the land around Yunta, since sheep farmers tend to shoot them on sight. The region is also protected by a 1,600-mile dog fence designed to safeguard livestock. Crocodiles, which inhabit the north of Australia, are not found in the south. Gus is too big to have been taken by an eagle, and if he was found by a wild pig, there almost certainly would have been evidence of a struggle. Police divers have searched every pond and water tank in the area, although some think Gus may have fallen into a well or a mine, but none have been found within several miles of the property.
Now, as far as the animal theories are concerned, I think, there's always a possibility. But, I think something would have been found. Now, don't forget he was wearing a hat. So a hat easily falls off, doesn't it? So, I'm sure if there was some animal activity or whatever, there would be something that would have been found, surely. I think it's more likely if it is, misadventure, it's more likely that he's fallen into something. If he even went, I just don't believe he went from that place. I just don't believe it. But anyway, let's suppose he did. He would have fallen down something maybe. And of course, the water, the dams and things like that, they need to be searched again because we know that water can be very slow in giving up what's hidden beneath it. So they either need to be drained or continually searched at regular intervals because things that might be hidden the first time may come up at a later search.
There are precious few naturally occurring sources of food out here, which is why experts think it's very unlikely that a little boy would have been able to survive this long in the outback. So while the mystery of Gus Lamont's disappearance is yet to be solved, chances are that the little boy who was wearing a Minions t-shirt with his adorable curly blonde hair will be found safe and well, are fading each and every day.
Oh. How can he be found alive? How can he be, you think, well, it's just impossible really, isn't it, that he can be alive? Very sad. So that was something from a while ago. This video we're going to watch now is a more recent video. After that search didn't turn up anything. This is a more recent video. I think this was 8 hours ago or something. Let's have a look at this.
The pictures that we paint of the vastness of Australia perhaps just don't hit home enough. The people up there love it. But some people from the city and communities don't. They think it's just endless nothing.
It's been almost 4 weeks since Gus Lamont disappeared from his...
You can't underestimate the huge sort of vastness of that. And yes, some people will love it and some people won't. We're all snowflakes, remember? We're all different. We're all unique. what we like, what we don't like, and some people will love that remoteness and other people won't, so that's just the way it is. So obviously this family, they love living there.
Family's property 40 kilometres south of Yunta in South Australia's outback. Despite 2 extensive searches in and around the 6,000 hectare property, almost no sign of the 4-year-old has been found. Ruth Whittle has been the Mayor of Peterborough, the area's major community centre, for 34 years.
If you have a conversation over a coffee or in the supermarket or down the street, someone mentions it sooner or later. Somebody talks about the latest news that we've heard, either on the radio or the TV. We're all holding our breath, hoping that day by day something is going to happen.
A major search is underway for the child who police say wandered away from his family home.
He'd been playing in the sand outside his home when his grandmother went to check on him about 5 o'clock late Saturday.
So they look.
Now, the other thing we have to remember here, they don't have the CCTV that you would normally, like if a child goes missing in a city, there'll be CCTV. Not really. There are a lot of resources that might be available to police in different cases that aren't available to them in this case. And as far as you're saying about the mobile phones, the mobile phone signals are very limited as well. So I think that would be harder too. But, only the police themselves know that. So now there's also a possibility, and I'm not, do they need to bring in, I mean, in a small place like this, has anything ever happened there before? Like this? Do they need to maybe bring in some of the more seasoned police, like from bigger cities or whatever that might be, more, more used to dealing with possible, child abductions? Or is this just a child wandering off? I don't know what resource. The thing is, Yunta is a small place, so the police force there, surely they've got less resources than they have in Adelaide, for example, which is a big city, so I'm just thinking, but having said that, I'm sure that, they're all working together because, they've even had the army in and everything. So I'm presuming they're getting all resources that they need thrown at them, be it a small town or not. They'll be getting resources, but because they're things that we don't know. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the police. We only know what information they release to us
Around the area until they actually call emergency services.
Our hearts are aching and we are holding on to hope that he will be found and returned safely.
So this guy was a family friend. He read out a statement from the family. The family themselves have not, made any appeals at all. None of them. No public appeals anyway. And, we have to make of that what we will. Maybe they're just very private. Maybe they're so devastated they can't bring themselves to. I don't know, because all families deal differently as well, don't they? I think we've probably seen that in various different cases. Some family members deal with it by getting proactive and appearing on the media, etc. Other family members in these kind of cases don't want to know. We've seen that with Jack and Lily. We've got the sort of stepdad, if you like, the Daniel Martel has been interviewed many times, but the mum has not been interviewed. But then the biological grandma on the father's side of Jack and Lily, she's been interviewed a couple of times. We're going to look at an interview with her shortly. They all deal with it in different ways, don't they? Some want to be interviewed, some don't. And, because we're all snowflakes, we're all unique, different in our own ways, and we deal with things differently.
community and SES volunteers joined a full-scale police search of the property where he lived with his grandparents, mum and one-year-old brother. Fleur Tiver's family owns a neighbouring property. She joined the search once she heard the news.
They are absolutely just in shock, exhausted. These are some of the best people you would ever find anywhere. They are the sort of people that you need as your neighbours because they are honest, reliable, trustworthy.
The search for Gus has come in fits and starts. Last week, police abandoned their second search. The only evidence that's been found is a child's boot print 500 metres from home.
Yeah,
I can't
that's
imagine
weird.
what they're feeling, but uncertainty is always the worst, isn't it?
That's strange to me, that boot print. But anyway, so here's the neighbours saying how trustworthy, lovely they are. I mean, if you lived out there, your neighbours are important. You might have very few neighbours, and you hope that the neighbours you've got are good ones. She says they are, so that's what she says. She knows she's their neighbour.
They don't know where he is, how he is, if they'll ever find him, and that has got to be the absolute worst thing that could happen to anyone.
Keith Noble has lived in the area all his life and knows the missing boy's family.
Well, that's something that's got me beat, how a little 4-year-old could get too far away from the place before they found traces of him has got me beat.
Until you're out in this station country, it's hard to get a sense of the scale of the place and the isolation. We're currently just northeast of the property, about 45 minutes drive from Yunta, and we've barely seen another vehicle, just goats, sheep, birds and the occasional kangaroo.
It's a huge area, and yet no evidence has been found, even though there's been a very...
Yeah, here's Xanthi. She always pops up, doesn't she, on these Australian cases. It's the first time I've seen her being interviewed in this particular case. I was wondering where she was.
Very detailed and lengthy search by police and other experts to try and locate Gus. So this is a particularly unusual case that they've searched for so long, and yet nothing has been discovered to indicate where Gus may be.
Police say they're investigating all the circumstances surrounding the 4-year-old's disappearance.
I think we've learnt in this country from other missing child investigations, namely William Tyrrell, that all of the potential scenarios, so misadventure and third-party involvement, have to be considered from the beginning. So they would be running all lines of inquiry simultaneously until the evidence dictates which of those is most likely.
Investigators say there's no evidence to suggest that a stranger took Gus. They say it would have been hard for someone to go unnoticed, given they would have had to travel along a dirt road and through a number of gates before reaching the property.
There is no evidence to suggest any other circumstances that might have resulted in Gus not being located. There is nothing to suggest foul play.
Criminologist Dr. Xanthi Mallet says cases like the disappearance of Gus Lamont are rare, and that the investigation is more challenging because of its remote location.
Yeah, well, it will be.
So they won't have cell tower data, for example. They won't have CCTV. They won't have dash cams to rely on. So there's less evidence to collect in that technological form, and there may also be less witnesses. So in a very remote area, it can be particularly problematic for police.
Police have called off the search for Gus but continue to investigate his disappearance. Back in Yunta, Fleur Tiver says she won't give up.
So we hope he is alive, and we haven't given up hope.
He can't be alive.
We know he's out there somewhere. We just need to find him.
To me, at the present moment, it's a mystery. I can't see what they're going to do about it.
It's so sad, but this boy, he just can't be alive unless he's been abducted. If he's out there somewhere, it's impossible for him to be alive. It's heartbreaking, but it just can't be. So, sort of almost, you're at that point where you hope somebody has taken him. Like with the other missing children cases, in the end, it's like your best hope is that they have been abducted. you know, because he couldn't possibly be alive otherwise. Anyway, so that's what we know, the latest that we know about Gus, which again, as I say, it's not really, what's the word, and not updates in the sense he hasn't been found, but just that we know where we are up to now, and it's just such a mystery. Nothing's been found except that one boot print.